where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back, Dr. Dorree Lynn, talking about sex, and this time, and also pop culture. When you think about Sex in the City, Desperate Housewives, they're all the innuendos of what you do to keep a man. Now, there are some women who are not comfortable with the oral sex, the deviant sex, and especially if guys or if women, if they came from that relationship where that was what was going on in the relationship, some of them are just not comfortable with it. Is it the responsibility in a marriage of your spouse that you're to please the spouse, whether it makes you uncomfortable or not, because you want to sacrifice on behalf of the person that you love unconditional? How should those situations be addressed?
Well, first of all, I have to take issue with the word deviant, because I don't know what you mean by that.
They're doing some crazy things these days in the bedroom that I would call deviant.
So I have to remind people that sex is a totality, and it's more than penetration.
Well, let's not say deviant. Let's say animalistic sex.
It's getting better and better.
I notice your tie is off here. So
he was getting warm, I think.
Well, I have to get comfortable to have this conversation. It's not easy for me. Well, that's why to take it off.
The jacket on.
But that's what answer for.
But Armstrong, we are primordial creatures. So people do what they do in the bedroom in private. Even our laws now permit that.
But here's the point.
To answer your question, is it an obligation? How could it possibly be an obligation? Because your equipment won't work if you're doing something you don't want to do.
But you understand what I'm saying. But here's what I'm saying to you. What if your spouse or someone you dated participated in something that you thought you wanted, but yet afterwards you lost so much respect for them to the point where you said, I'll never kiss her again, and you talk about them. And then they become humiliated.
Well, isn't the onus, isn't the issue on the person who is requesting something that they then have a moral judgment about? Why would somebody ask someone to do something that they themselves think is morally irrepressible?
To me, it's not an issue of morality, it's an issue of respect.
Because why have you asked to begin with?
But you're going to communicate.
But their attitude is, well, you did it to me. Obviously, you're faking it. You probably did it before. Because if you had such a strong feeling about it, you wouldn't have done it in the first place.
Well, sometimes people, especially if they care about another person, want to please them, and it's a gift. What about if you think about it that way?
Yeah. So you don't think there are no boundaries in the bedroom with married couples?
I think between two consenting adults, and that's the issue, consenting adults. What people do is really their business. I am not God. I cannot tell somebody they may or may not do something. All I can do is tell them that within the bedroom, between two consulting adults, that is up to them.
But we also, I would think, what we talked about in the first show, in the first half, was that communication is essential. And so if you're having a good communicative existence, chances are you're not just going to wind up at 12 midnight one night and your partner's going to go, hey, let's swing by the chandelier. You'll have spoken about the chandelier in advance of getting there, is my guess.
One would hope so.
You'll work it out. It's not going to be a surprise. So if anything is objectionable to anyone, I can't hang on to the chandelier that long. You'll work out something else, right? I guess.
Although you're raising an interesting issue when we were talking in the first half about how to keep relationships alive. I don't know that I would recommend chandeliers as the sudden surprise, but
what do you recommend?
A surprise keeps a relationship fresh. Maybe a woman can wear some sexy lingerie when she's not
What if
used
she comes
to it?
in with whips and chains?
Hey now.
I'm
just kidding.
You better know who your partner is. Now, is that a wish, fear, or just a useful question?
I think. Listen, the thing about pop culture, and we all watch TV and we watch these shows, and you see how they handcuff the woman to the bed, and you say to yourself, "Well, I trust somebody to handcuff me to the bed," but it does get your interest, and it goes back to. Obviously, pop culture and these shows have an impact on your psyche, and sometimes when you're in that bedroom and you think about, well, I've seen this before, and there's a curiosity, and curiosity can make you do things that you never thought was conceivable before.
Curiosity can kill the cat, too. The whole chaining onto the bed sounds a little crazy to me. But.
Well, people can do almost anything, but you raise the issue of media. And media, in my opinion, helps to destroy relationships the way much media exists. Because people look at this, and first of all, they have 15 minutes of fame for whatever, or 15 minutes of sex, or 15 minutes of whatever, and everybody looks like they just walked off of a magazine, and they go home and they say, what are they doing that I'm missing? And they forget it's a TV show.
They're acting.
They're
Exactly
acting.
correct.
And it's quick, and it's there to get your attention. And it's one of the problems, in my opinion, with relationships today. People get a mixed message because most of our sexual education comes from the media. And we're kind of both prudes and prurients. We watch, we say, there's something wrong with me, or maybe we should try and do that. But it's not real.
You know, this is really the question of questions. The cougars. Obviously, if a 24-year-old man is dating a 52-year-old woman, and if a 64-year-old woman is dating a 28-year-old man, you know that has to be all about sex. And you know it can't be last. That has to be something that is fun for them, because it can't be serious.
Interesting. I happen to have written a blog today on cougars. So if anyone goes to my site, 50andfurthermore.com, it's there. It may be about sex, but you know, it may be psychological as well. Maybe it's about missing their mother and they've never outgrown it. Remember, I'm a psychologist by training. In earlier days, at one time...
Hold that point, in earlier days, because I really want to hear this conversation. Because I know a lot of people today, young guys dated much older women, and these young older women, I mean, I know someone, I just happen to be talking to him. You don't really know people. Just you meet them along the way and you just stand up having this conversation. This guy's 32 and he only dates women 70 or 72.
Well, I would question what's going on there.
You don't have to question
that
it.
can't be
You know
about
what it-
sex alone.
No.
Yeah.
That's not about sex.
There's like a
I don't know.
in there.
I don't know. It is for him. The producers in the studio are getting just the biggest kick out of this show. He's just whispered in my ear, remember, it's half your age plus 7.
I thought it was half your age plus 10. I thought it was half plus 10.
Busted!
Wait a second now.
But I won't call it that. So look, these cougars. You said something interesting going out the break. If someone is 32, a young man dating someone who's 70, what he thinks he's getting out of it, he may be well deceived.
That's absolutely true, and it works the other way around, too. If a woman who is 23 is marrying, or 32, is only dating somebody in their 70s, what's she up to?
Money,
I would think she's up
a will, inheritance.
There's something else going on, or maybe she's got some father complex that she's
I can
never
understand
worked
it
out.
better with a woman, with an old man. But I can't understand a young guy, 27 or 28, dating a 70-year-old woman. I can't understand that.
Well, the world has changed, and that's one of the things that has happened with equality. People really have morphed to being more similar than different. Genders.
But how could a woman bring herself to sleep with someone who could be her great-great-grandson?
Well, you'd have to ask those women, but maybe they feel that same. You were talking before about men who have kids when they're in their 70s, and they say, yes, I can still do it.
It's a virility. It's a
Maybe
virility
she
check,
says,
isn't it? Yeah.
I can still
I
get
can
him.
still attract.
But he's lying to her. She can't still do it.
But you can see it. Can't you see it? I'm sure you see folks, and you see the way that they behave, and they get around kind of a younger person, and they get a little bit more of a thing.
That's right.
And because
The
they're
juices
starting
flow.
to feel, it's hard getting older. You feel the sense of getting older, and your vibrancy is, wow, this is really, I'm now sitting on
That's
your
right.
couch, I think.
No.
But these are the things you feel, and so this may add a little, something and make you feel better when in fact you're looking in all the wrong places. Right? You're
Well
looking in
said.
good places.
Is fidelity to marriage, a faithfulness to a relationship, is it really difficult? Does it take a lot of work, even for the best of us, to be faithful?
Yes.
Why?
Yes, because we talked about this in the beginning, because a marriage, a long-term relationship, takes work. People still have this white picket fence idea that, you're going to get married and have 2.5 kids or whatever the statistic is and live happily ever after. And most people give at the office and forget to give at home.
Do you think raping and pedophile is about sex?
No, I think it's about, primarily, that's the end result. It's about something that is very twisted inside someone.
I mean, those are
acts of violence.
Acts of violence, not acts of sex.
And they're not consenting adults. They're power. They're acts of power. Power is not what mutually consenting adults do.
Does it bother you when you look at the cover of Sports Illustrated and you see women showing their naked with their breasts hanging out? I see women exploit themselves to sell sex, and people use sex to sell perfume and other products. Does that bother you?
Sorry, are you asking me? Oh, I'm sorry.
I know it doesn't bother you. Are women being exploited? Or they have a right to market what they got? Use it while you have it.
Does it bother me?
No, not bother you. How do you interpret it?
Okay. I think we live in a world, and I said before, of prudes and prurients.
Hold that point. Dr. Dorree Lynn is our guest. Sex for Grown-Ups. Dr. Dorree reveals the truth, lies, and must-tries for great sex after 50. David Modell, Armstrong Williams, and our distinguished guest, Dr. Dorree Lynn, will continue after these messages.